heat up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So it's on that remote, don't touch that IL, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
On the platform. Make sure you're subscribed and you will never miss a moment. I'm going to bring in Pete. Pete, how's your evening?
I'm doing great, Derek. I have to be like Kate because she's not here. So, yay!
I think that's something none of us can live up to.
No, so, I know. I can't even come close. But she's awesome. But I'm here, and I'm okay too.
And next, our producer Gina is going to join us. Gina, how's your evening going?
Guys. Good. As you guys know, I'm doing my school countdown, so I'm excited to talk tonight about Brave and about Moon Knight, so that helps me get closer to the year end. Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Totally understand that. And last but certainly not least this week, we've got Sam. Sam, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, you guys. It's so good to see all of you. I'm happy to be on the show and happy to see all your smiling faces. Sad we don't have Kate with us today, but happy that Gina's joining us. And I'm always happy to be last in this square or array of five. I actually really like being last,
We
last
fall
but not least,
we fall into our niches.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Yeah. Save the best for last.
That's right. That's right.
And we've got Steve with us this week.
Hi,
Says hi,
Steve.
tuners.
Hi, Steve.
Holly's with us. Hi, guys. With Gina, 18 days and counting. Woohoo summer.
We're all ready.
Holly,
We're so
Holly,
ready.
I'm at 16. Gina, what are you at?
20.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
20 with kids.
Yeah. I'm 17, 16 with kids. So
poor me and Pete. We have round the year jobs.
And you're like, years. How many years do you have left?
I am on vacation in 11 days, so that's
Okay.
That's nice.
nice. It's only a week though, not the whole summer.
Yeah, I'm on vacation over Memorial Day, but it's just a 4-day weekend, not a long vacation.
Yeah. Ryan's hi, says Platooners. Ed's with us tonight, says Platooners.
Hey Ryan, hey Ed.
Steve says he's at 32. Oh
my goodness,
yuck.
we have lots of teachers with us. My goodness.
So, well, as we do, we normally shift to Kate at this point with Disney Plus news. But since she's not here, I'm going to take care of it. So it's time for the Disney Plus news. Anyway, Kate, please hurry back. A trailer was released this week for Hollywood Stargirl, an original movie that will be premiering on June 3rd on Disney Plus. This is a sequel to Stargirl, which was released on Disney Plus in 2020.
Did
anyone seen it?
See Stargirl?
I didn't see it. I didn't even know.
I will say the new one actually looked kind of interesting. So we'll have to see what June brings us.
I did remember when it came out. It came out before we were doing the show.
Before we were on.
Pretty early, but the new one looks kind of similar.
Okay. In an interview, Ewan McGregor said that he is totally up for playing Obi-Wan in future projects. This may indicate that there's not a season 2 planned currently, but maybe in the future.
Obi-Wan.
So it means if there's not one now, he's at least open to it.
Or maybe he could be on a different one of the other shows, but playing the character, right? He could.
Yeah, I could see him maybe on Ahsoka.
I could see him on that. I could see him possibly on the dude from Rogue One.
Andor?
Andor potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And Ian McDermott, who played Emperor Palpatine, teased that he will be returning not only in Obi-Wan, but also the Andor series that's coming.
Oh, yay. He's
so
such a great
evil.
actor. He's such a great actor. He's
Yep.
such a great actor. That's why he's such a good actor.
Sources are pointing to a Book of Boba Fett season 2, and that it will include Samuel L. Jackson in some form.
So is he going to play Mace? This has been on my brain the whole time.
They may remember that Mace Windu killed Boba Fett's father. So an appearance in a
True.
flashback scene makes sense.
Oh, because I'm like, isn't Mace
Or
Windu
as a Force ghost
Force
or something.
Ghost? Okay,
Hmm.
that's kind of where I went. I was like, he
I'm-
didn't
I'm not-
make it.
I'm not really feeling the need for another Boba
No.
Fett series, but
Well, it'll be
No,
Mandalorian.
I
It'll be
mean-
Mandalorian 3.5.
Right.
Right.
We need a Mandalorian season 3, so
It's
we
coming.
can
right.
have.
But that's
you
already
know-
coming.
Oh,
Right.
so this would be, that doesn't make any
3.5.
sense.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be Mandalorian 3.5.
Yeah.
But
So-
hey, we have Cade, right? We have
yeah.
No, they killed him.
Oh no, we have the sheriff.
Oh, the sheriff.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cobb.
Oh, I do love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
And
love him.
then, as is typical, Marvel has announced there will be a making of show about Moon Knight released next week.
Okay.
Again, keeps in the trend of the previous Marvel TV shows.
I think these
So-
are all unnecessary.
I'm
Well,
I'm
I
a
don't
making
mind
of
some of the
nerd.
making of.
I
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
some of them.
I'm not really into them.
Um,
Just give me the good show and leave it at that.
well, anyway.
We won't review
Um,
it. I don't.
No,
don't
oh no, we
review
won't
the
talk
making
about
ofs.
it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So some of us like that. If we like the show enough, we'll watch the making ofs because I really enjoyed the WandaVision one because it showed how they did all the different sets and all the different
was cool.
scening and stuff, filming and stuff. But for the others, just kind of oh yeah, this is how they filmed that action sequence.
Meh.
And the Mandalorian one was very interesting, even though that was a multi-part one.
I watched that whole thing.
That was
yeah.
very
I
interesting.
yeah,
enjoyed
yeah.
that.
And Vicky says she did not like Stargirl. So
All right,
Okay.
thanks for
Good enough
letting
for
us
me.
know, Vicky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it is Mother's Day this weekend. First, happy Mother's Day, Sam. Happy
Thank
fur
you.
baby Mother's Day, Gina. And, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and grandmothers listening out there.
Yeah, and mother
So-
figures, people who maybe aren't
Yes,
mothers but
definitely.
take on that role.
And so we decided that the movie that came to mind that talked about a mother-daughter relationship or had some kind of a central mother character the most was Brave. So that's how we came up with Brave.
Because
And-
in most Disney movies, the parents die like even before the movie starts or at the beginning of the movie. So
Or-
there's not really that many movies that really
Yeah.
have a mother-parent relationship.
And then we were saying in Sleeping Beauty, the parents were asleep the entire movie, so we didn't get to see a parental thing.
Bambi, there's a
No,
mother, but she
no.
gets shot.
yeah, I mean,
Hey,
there's
spoilers. Come on.
But
I mean, there's the parents in Tangled, but they're not there at all.
Right.
yeah,
So,
they're not
anyway.
in like any of the movie until
Yeah.
the very
No.
end.
Um,
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
we will get to what some of our favorite Disney moms are. But Sam, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Is the story brave enough?
I gotta say, no, it's not brave enough. I'm not saying this is a bad movie. It's not a bad movie, but it's also not a good movie, right? It's just very meh. I think we have all used that term, to talk about various things we've watched that we haven't really loved, but we don't hate. This movie starts out really well. I think the sort of the start of the movie, the premise of the movie, Merida fighting for her own hand in marriage and being, going sort of undercover as an archer in this competition to win her own hand. It starts out great. It's visually beautiful. The accents are wonderful. The voice actors, I think, are great. I love Emma Thompson as the mother. I just love her in anything, pretty much. So I think there's a lot of good stuff at the beginning of this movie, but then the movie just goes sideways and jumps the shark with the witch and the bear and all of that. And then it also doesn't ever help resolve the story of the other bear, Mordu, where we could have seen that spell maybe broken in the movie, and maybe that would have added another layer to it. I know there is the story of Mordu that's like an 8-minute short on Disney Plus. If you want to watch that, it came up on Disney Plus as a suggested to watch after I watched Brave, and I did watch it, but I didn't pay too much attention.
Is it anything new, or is it just the same stuff from Brave?
I honestly wasn't paying enough attention to answer that question because it didn't really suck me in right after I'd watched all of Brave. And I'll be honest, I didn't really remember Brave all that well from the first time, or maybe even the second time I'd seen it. I feel like it's just a movie that doesn't hold my attention super well, because the story is so blah and kind of convoluted and silly. I think if they weaved in music into this movie, like, for example, Encanto is not my favorite Disney movie, but the music is fire, and so it kind of holds your attention because the music is so good. Perhaps if this was a musical, it would be better. But this is one of Pixar's, I'd say, worst movies, and Pixar's got so much great stuff and not a lot of meh, or not a lot of bad stuff. It's got a few meh movies, but yeah, this one just does not. I would say not brave enough for me. Derek, what about you?
Yeah, I'm along the same lines. I looked at it. I love the first 28 minutes until she starts following the sprites.
Yep.
At that point,
Totally. That's where it just goes off, right?
Yeah, that's where it goes off the rails, and it's went to Sleeping Beauty. It went to sleep.
Mhm.
The plot all of a sudden just grinds way too slow. Yes, you have some of the stereotypical, human having to figure out how to be an animal stuff. Guys, it's turning red with haggis. I mean,
Oh, it's not nearly as good as Turning Red.
Yeah,
I mean,
was
there's
going to
definitely
say
some
the same.
similarities.
But
There's
There's-
definitely some similarities.
I totally agree with you, Pete,
The
because
similarities.
I really liked Turning Red, and this is not nearly as good as Turning Red.
Yeah.
But I mean, the basic idea is the same.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there were some little things that I actually loved. I love some of the details they got in there. For those of you who don't know, every Friday, guys, I wear a kilt to school. And so I have several of them. I loved how they actually had them properly wearing the kilts. And I'm not talking the what's under a kilt question. That's nobody's business. I'm talking about how they had them folded and tied around them properly, which I really enjoyed. I liked the fact that, yes, they looked like Viking longships at the beginning,
Mhm.
but the early Scots were Nordic.
Okay.
That's why there's so many similarities, especially among the carving and this stuff.
By the way, the answer should be underwear, always.
No, the answer should be, why are you asking me?
I'm not going to ask, but the answer should be underwear.
I loved the music. I totally agree. There should have been more songs, especially if they could have kept them a little bit more upbeat. But this could have used what's known as a 10:30 song in the musical. This could have used a song like right before she figured out her and the mother got back together. There could have been that would have been the perfect space for what essentially would have been a love song in any other movie. Kind of a little bit slower ballad. Yes.
Yeah.
Said, I love the music. I love Merida. I love the king. This is not the mother you're looking for. She's overbearing. She's controlling. She is not a good mother. Now, she's by far not the worst mother we watched this week, but she's not a good mother. And this is not a good show. Pete?
You really hit that nail on the head with, like, this movie seemed like it had a lot of potential in the conflict of Merida wanting to be her own person and everything like that. And then I wouldn't say followed the sprites, but I'd say she met the witch, and witch
30
ex
seconds.
machina.
So,
right. Because like the witch shows up, and apparently the only thing she can do is turn people into bears, which is kind of a funny joke, but not really. And then the rest of the movie is just like her trying to convert her mom back, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's got that ticking clock plot that, like, oh, you got a deadline to do this, but it never really feels like it's not going to happen. And I don't know.
It's no Little Mermaid.
Yeah, right. It just doesn't, like, as I said, you're totally right. That first half hour is really, really interesting. And then the next hour, it just doesn't really work. And I can see, and there's moments that are good, but
they're short.
Yeah. No. There's when I say moments, I mean like 30 seconds, like little things there. I mean, having the brothers eat the thing and turn into bears too is cute.
The brothers are adorable.
The brothers are underutilized.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. To me, they're utilized enough. I wouldn't want more of them, to be honest.
That's fair.
And I don't know. It man is good. I mean, it's like, and I think that's why it feels like that, because it's like, oh, this movie's pretty good. You're watching the first half hour, and then it just kind of like
it's the breaks.
It just doesn't. It becomes very uninteresting. Maybe the choices that Merida makes don't make sense or something. I don't know what it is, but the plot just doesn't really work. And I don't know why, but yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you guys. And I'm thinking Gina's probably shaking her head saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's 4 for 4. The thing I wanted just to add was I really enjoyed the fact that it's not a princess meeting a prince story. That's the one thing I was like, yay, you're finally not doing that. It was 2012. That's groundbreaking. It's the first time. The funny part was I'm doing whatever. I'm doing laundry. And I said, I just need to watch this for Plus Platoon. And my husband, Brandon, says, you're not really watching it. I said, yeah, that's because I didn't say that this did not hold my attention after 25 minutes at whatever, 28, whatever that time was.
Yeah.
I said, it's not holding my attention. So I'm just working around it. And then the other thing I wanted to say, to speak what Pete was saying, Merida didn't learn any lesson. There was no lesson to be learned. There was no aha moment. I think that was part of why it fell so flat. And then the mom never said, I'm so sorry, daughter, for being so controlling and overbearing. You don't have to get married. It was more like,
she kind of did say that.
I'd say she maybe learned a little bit, but Merida
says, I'm sorry for running away is all she said.
Yeah.
I think the mom does come around when she's still a bear and she's in the back of that hall.
Yeah.
She's miming to Merida what to say to the group.
Right. That is not nearly as good as the chipmunk in Enchanted.
No,
agreed.
Not even close.
But that's where it shows her mom learning the lesson, but it doesn't really show, I agree, it doesn't really show Merida learning the lesson of why did you not just talk to your mom? Why did you go to a witch and ask for a spell? Like that
was a really dumb spell. Yeah,
really
it just didn't have. Yeah, she didn't have that moment. And then with the brothers, there was no moment for them. How come they turned into bears? There was nothing for them to learn. So I was like, that's dumb too. It doesn't. Yeah. Anyway. So ditto all around.
Did they actually turn back into humans at the same time? I can't even remember.
Yeah, they all turned back.
Because they start running around naked.
Yeah, they were just cute. They were just cute. It's like, but what's the point?
As Ed says, it just goes to show good mothers don't really die. They become the reason for the rest of the movie. Yeah. Ryan says he's never seen this movie and don't really want to. Glad you did for me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that bullet sometimes, Ryan.
This is definitely bottom tier Pixar.
Yes,
as you guys said, not terrible. And I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 Pixar movies I would put in the terrible category.
I can think like one of them.
Fire and Rescue.
That doesn't count. Not a real movie.
Fire and Rescue is not really a movie. Planes itself, you are not the target audience. I had a 8-year-old boy who really enjoyed planes.
Yeah,
so
I would
Rescue.
I would actually only probably put Good Dinosaur in that terrible category.
Yeah,
there are some people that will argue with me on that one, but
I actually don't think that movie is terrible. I don't think that movie is great or even good. It's kind of, I actually would put it in the same category as Brave. I would say it's kind of and I think Spot is kind of adorable. So
that movie to me is never watch again. But even this movie, what I will say is, like, we did Toy Story a few months ago, and I've seen Toy Story dozens of times, and I watched it again. Brave, I've probably seen. I mean, I do have a daughter, so I've probably seen it half a dozen times, not nearly as many times as Toy Story. I was like, I don't need to watch it again. I know it, and, So I did not rewatch it, but I know it well enough to kind of go scene by scene in my head, and it just. I mean, I know how I feel about it. When my daughter was watching it, I would kind of tune out. So
Steve says they also watched it playing in the background. I mean, it's a play in the background movie.
Yeah.
Nick says she's a better mother in the end.
I think
kind of. Yeah,
Why?
well, on this, but we don't know what she's actually going to be like. Yes, she's had this big epiphany moment, but we don't see her actually being a better mother.
Well, you presume she's a better mother because she's had this epiphany and she's going to give Merida more freedom.
And she has literally let her hair down.
True. She looks different.
Which I will say, a person a mother's age with gray hair, good representation. Because
Yep.
spoiler alert, guys, not everyone
This
that
isn't
age
real.
is real.
This isn't real. Yeah.
This is real, but you can see right here. This is real right there.
Yeah, as Nick says, when your children offer you food, be suspicious, especially if they've never offered you food before.
Good
Especially
point,
if it's
Nick.
like setting the, with its little tray for the Mother's Day type
Looks
presentation.
too pretty. Too
Yeah.
pretty.
Steve says it was their second time watching it, and only because it was one of the topics tonight. Probably won't watch it
Yeah.
a third time.
Same.
Steve, I think we're there with you.
We're all same.
Yeah.
Now, we've all said that she's kind of an Disney mother. Guys, who is your favorite animated Disney mother? I'm not going to go any live action. Who is your favorite animated Disney mother, Pete?
So I'm not going to pick an obvious one, but I already mentioned it earlier. I'm going to pick, and I don't even know if she has a name, the mom in the Toy Story series.
Andy's mom.
Andy's mom.
Andy's mom. Sure, we'll call her that. She is she's a single mom. We don't know why she's a single mom, but whatever reason she's a single mom, that's a hell of a job to take on. And she raises two really great kids. She lets him keep his toys as long as he wants. Doesn't put pressure on the kid. There's really in all those movies, is there anything she does that's bad? Not really, other than she's trying
Buzz.
to calm him. What?
She accidentally takes the trash
the toys
bag to
out.
the curb.
Right.
But she
Well,
does, but
yeah.
it's an accident.
But there's no malicious intent.
Exactly.
So I think, and partly because there's not a lot of moms out there in the animated movies, but I would pick her because, she does just about everything right. She even gets Andy a dog, and, the toys might not be too happy about that, but, Andy's
They're at
pretty
the
happy.
end.
So
They are at the end. They
I
love
was
us.
not, we were not that good parents. We would not get our daughter a dog. So
But you got a cat, so
yeah,
Yeah,
how can you tell?
Plural.
cats.
It's great. For
Who's next? Gina.
For me, it's Elastigirl. I'm going with Mrs. Incredible. She at first is kind of overbearing and controlling and says, "Don't use your powers." But as she realizes how much they help her at the end, she evolves. And that's all I need. I just need the mom to evolve. So she evolved into being a better mother by realizing, oh, my kids can use their powers and they can keep it under control. Because my favorite scene is second, go for second. I love that. So Dash is just like, okay. So
Love
Elastigirl.
That's a great
And what
one.
about you, Sam?
So I picked two because I was afraid somebody was going to take my first choice, but nobody has. So I'm going to go, and this is going to be obvious, and I don't care, because the most nurturing and protective mother out there in animated Disney, Mrs. Jumbo.
Yeah.
Mrs. Jumbo she will kick butt and take names of anyone who tries to come after her baby boy. She will protect him, not let them make fun of him. She is a wonderful mother. She encourages him. She is, the movie, well, it's one of the Disney movies that I always cry while watching. The scene, Baby Mine, Don't You Cry, where she's rocking.
Yeah.
Oh my God, all the tears. But it's like, this is the mother. This is the mother of all mothers, the mother to live up to, the mother to bow down to. She's incredible. I will give the honorable mention to Mrs. Potts. That's all I'm going to say.
I didn't
Okay.
know Mrs. Potts.
She's a great mom too.
Yeah.
Derek?
Except she has 12 children and ignores the other.
And
11.
ignores all but one of them. But
Well,
she takes
I was
care
going
of
to say,
them.
let the record show, I originally wanted to do Dumbo this week. So, and this makes me glad I actually chose a third option, because this was number one. That was number two. So, Mrs. Jumbo was my number one. Andy's mom was my number two. My number three, I'm going to go one not quite traditional. How about Moana's grandmother?
I love that. I was thinking that too,
Yeah.
Derek. She was on my list.
embraces the crazy, doesn't care what people think, tells Moana, do what you can, and is okay if she failed. She said, I can't do this. And she says, okay, I love you anyway. I'll be with
And
you wherever you are.
And she's a stingray. I mean, come on.
More manta ray, but
or manta
anyways,
ray, whatever.
Yeah.
But and she even tries to tell her own son off, say, knock it off.
Yep.
Let her do what she's gonna do. So you guys, those out here, who's your favorite Disney mom? Come on, we need some suggestions. I have gotten at least one other vote for Mrs. Jumbo.
She's the best.
Yeah.
If,
I mean,
I admit that's a great mom. I voted against the movie because I can't stand the movie, but
The movie's so hard.
It's just hard. Oh, so Nick is saying Sarabi's not
Sarabi.
bad.
Yeah, she's
from
not bad.
Lion King.
she gives the kid a bath.
She's cute. I like her.
I mean, she's not that involved.
she doesn't have a
So-
big part. No.
She doesn't have a big
Yeah.
role in the movie.
I will say, and I'm sure we all have our Steve's got another vote for Andy's mom. I know we all have our least favorite Disney mother.
Wait, what about Lilo's
Nani.
sister?
Nani.
sister? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
Nani's
yeah,
good.
definitely supportive.
Mother figure.
Ed's going for Mrs. Jumbo also.
Yeah.
So there are a few when she's alive, Bambi's mom.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, when she's alive,
even-
she tries. Yeah.
Even Elsa and Anna's mom,
Parents.
right? I mean, their parents in general, yeah. But they're
Yeah,
just like a minor role.
they're terrible though. Their decision
They
is
lock her
"Hey,
up.
Right, let's lock
Well,
the two children apart.
They're
who are
giving
best
bad
friends
advice. They're
and
giving
never let
bad
them-
advice. Those
Yeah.
darn trolls, they give them bad advice.
Well, Tangled, Rapunzel's parents were great. They still looked for her. Except,
Yep.
Yeah.
They threw a
Um,
festival in her honor
yeah,
every year.
Yeah. Well,
I will say one of the most that kind of gets credit that I don't think she deserves, Duchess and Aristocats.
Hmm.
She's just kind of meh.
ooh, I got
Oh,
one I didn't even think
okay.
of. Perdita.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Perdita
Perdita.
goes with. She's not any kind of a leader,
Mm-hmm.
but she's a
Mhm.
great follower and she's a great.
Well,
she goes. She's on the whole trip to get the
yeah.
dogs
Yeah,
back.
Pongo and
Yeah.
Perdita go after the kids, and
Yeah,
and,
so-
and she
Yeah.
and she adopts
All the babies.
5
Yeah, a
Puppies.
children.
bajillion
Would any of
babies.
you do that? No.
No.
No,
No.
Derek, Holly disagrees with you. Holly is saying Duchess
says
from
Duchess from.
Aristocats.
She likes Duchess
Yes.
from Aristocats.
Yeah.
She's a loving mother,
Yeah.
but when the cats are in trouble, she's not the one that goes after them.
Fair.
True.
It's the guy who sees him walking down the road and thinks she's pretty that goes after
Yeah.
him, and all his bandmates. So, okay, now as we normally do, pixie dust ratings. You give it a pixie dust rating out of 5. Since you're to my left, Pete, I'm starting with you. Pixie dust out of 5.
I'm gonna give this one. I think I'm gonna give this one like a 2. I think 2. Maybe 2.5, but I'm gonna go with 2. It's
Okay.
I wouldn't even necessarily tell anyone to watch it, and that's why I'm gonna give it such a low thing. I mean, it's not that it's bad or anything like that, but like if someone would say to me, would you recommend watching Brave? I'm gonna say kind of no. So 2.
Yeah.
Okay, Gina.
I'm 2.5. I gave it an A for effort. It really tried at the beginning there, and then the plot was an F. So it's in the middle,
Okay.
2.5.
Fair.
Oof, this is a hard one. I struggle between giving it a 1.5 and a 2. I don't even think it's deserving of a 2.5. But because the first 30 minutes are good, and because it is beautifully, animated, I gotta go with a 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Derek?
I'm gonna go with 2. This is one I actually wish I could give like a 2.25 to, just because it's a little bit better than some of the stuff I've given the 2 but it's not quite as good as some of the stuff I've given a 2.5 to. So,
Yeah.
but I gotta slide to the 2 side of this. Steve's at a 2.5, Nick's at a 2.5.
They're my people.
So all in all, no one really liked this movie. So
yeah.
Holly says 2.5. Love the song "Touch the Sky." Totally
Yeah,
agree.
The
Yeah,
songs
are
are
great.
really good.
Songs
Too
are
bad
great.
they also
only,
stop
like, 2
after
of
30
them.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yes.
just need more. There's like this is not a musical movie. It
Yeah.
needs to be. It would be so much
It
better
would be better.
with more music.
would.
Yeah.
Well, I think their Pixar has been hesitant to step on the
musical.
Disney musical
True.
thing. So I mean, the closest we got was Coco.
Yeah.
To
But
a
they went with
musical.
a princess. Like if you're gonna go like Disney princess, go full on musical. That's
Well,
the formula that works.
But even do like, I mean, this movie did like Tarzan, right? It was, the songs were part of it, but the
But in the
character
background.
didn't sing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, give us a couple more songs. I agree
Yeah.
with you. I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say one of the closer ones, Pixar ones, was the original Toy Story. There were like 3 or 4 songs in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
that, I mean, that was again songs used,
Songs not sung by the
Tom
characters.
used
Right,
for
in the
mood,
background.
but not sung. And
Well,
those
But
those
even
3
then, that
songs were
helped.
all
It
excellent too.
helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps
So-
move the story.
Yeah,
And as Ed says, he's washing dishes, not even stopping to bother with a score.
yeah.
Yeah, it's about there.
But he did stop to comment.
He just
So
stopped to comment, which we do appreciate.
That's good for us.
Hey.
That's good for us.
The other thing we watched this week was episode 5 of Moon Knight.
this was a terrible idea for Mother's Day, you guys.
We had no
this Moon
idea.
Knight, I know,
This
we
was
didn't
not us.
know.
This
I
wasn't
know.
us.
But Moon Knight, what the heck are you doing right before
think-
Mother's Day?
I don't know if I was the first one to watch it, but I kind, you know, we have a group chat, and as soon as I watched it, I say, you know, this one's going to fit in really well with the theme of the
Mother's
week.
Day, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I think
Terrible
you and
mother.
I both watched it
Terrible.
sometime during the day that first day.
Oh,
So, yeah.
terrible.
Now, unfortunately, guys, Micah is not able to join us, but off air, he and I have had about a 30-minute conversation on Moon Knight, so I can hopefully answer some of the questions that he would be able to answer, or at least give educated guesses from what he and I talked about. Some of the comments on Moon Knight. To me, this was of all of them, this was the most straightforward episode. This was him reliving his past and trying to figure out what's real and what's not. We figure out where Steven comes from, which is such a terrible story. The fact that that's who is basically, he was his escape mechanism
Yeah,
from
Yeah.
his son.
it's a tragic story, but I thought powerful. I thought
Powerful,
it was
yeah.
I
done
actually loved
really well.
I loved how they did
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Did not necessarily need the. I think this brother dying would have been enough. Did not necessarily need the mother abusing him.
Well, yeah.
Which brings up the question: who is Steven actually leaving the messages for
Right.
when he's
Who's-
talking to mom? So
Or who's talking? Yeah.
So one of the things is, so at the end of the episode, when he's not going into the Shiva and he I think I'm saying that
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then he converts to Steven. He's talking on the phone, and you can actually see he's not talking. The phone is not.
It's like Google Maps or something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's he's not actually calling anyone. So it might be that he doesn't
Just in
even.
his head.
Yeah.
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 That's fair. It's
How come I want to ask
Okay.
a question and see maybe if you know the answer
Okay.
to this from talking to Micah. So I get that in order to kind of move forward in his heaven or hell kind of decision making, he's got to get rid of Steven, right? He's got to acknowledge his past and get rid of Steven. But I thought there's a third personality that we haven't seen.
well.
And the balancing of the scales and stuff doesn't make sense without taking into account this third personality.
Unless the third person, if there were 3 of them, and that's why it didn't balance.
Well,
but-
yes, I agree,
see-
but
and see-
how can he right the ship? I guess if not for acknowledging that third personality and shoving them off of the boat as well.
And
I
this
didn't
is
understand
one
that.
where, in talking to Micah, that deviates from the comics. This whole this storyline is not necessarily in the comics at all.
Right.
I would say, and something that I've seen has brought up, I think we've seen Jake. I think we've seen the third personality. I
Yeah.
think Jake was the guy with the broken nose in The Office. I think that because the accent's different
Yes.
and his attitude's different, and his attitude towards very violent is different. I think that's Jake.
Right. Go back and watch.
I'll
That's
have to watch
one of
it
the
again.
scenes with Harrow. There's 3 scenes with Harrow, and the middle one he has like a broken nose and he has a band-aid.
Yeah.
And is like, as you say, he sounds like he's from like Brooklyn or something like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Interesting.
yeah, I wondered if that was actually Jake
I think
there
it's Jake.
pretending
Yeah.
to be Steve, pretending to be Mark.
So Steve's comment is exactly what I was thinking. So thank you for bringing it up, Gina. I thought it would have balanced when a third heart was added to the scale. I think you're exactly right, but that didn't happen. Right? We
And-
didn't see Jake on the boat.
And the balance, it's not necessarily balance, it kept wavering back and forth.
Right. That it needs to go to one side or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Then now, remember last week we talked about how there's potentially some throwbacks to like the little girl in episode 1.
Yeah.
We talked about that. In episode 1, she makes the comment to Steven, did it suck for you getting rejected from the Field of Reeds?
Right.
Oh.
He gets rejected from the Field of
From the
Reeds.
Field of Reeds.
I mean,
Mhm.
so the whole cyclical thing there is very interesting. Also, not interesting. The song over the credits, the lyric is "Beyond the sun, I have a home."
Mhm.
So I think that's important. To me, guys, I think this should have been like episode 3 or episode 4. This is not a penultimate episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's still too much
It
unresolved.
does seem like there's a lot to wrap up, but obviously they're
especially-
going to manage it.
Especially because report time for final episode is 42 minutes.
What? So
Yes.
it's a shorter
it's
episode.
shorter.
episode.
Now,
yeah.
something that's interesting though, they have gone from calling this either the finale of Moon Knight or the series finale of Moon Knight. In the last week, it has switched to the season finale of Moon Knight.
Oh, so we're gonna get a season
I think
2.
Interesting.
So I wonder if the ratings are doing really well. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, obviously. Almost every episode of the show has gotten better for me. And this has not been a super action show. It's clearly Marvel-y, but to me, it's not. It's very different, with only probably WandaVision being more different than
Agreed.
typical
It's
Marvel.
not super Marvel-y.
But even WandaVision at the end of WandaVision was very Marvel.
Very Marvel.
Yeah. yes, the fight.
So but overall that show was not typical Marvel. This show has been, to me, very not typical Marvel. And gosh, I'm I'm watching it with like, what's going to happen next? And you're like, I mean, as I said, the episode was very the information being fed to us was very disturbing, but you still wanted to
Mhm.
and you kind of could figure what was coming, but it still was like you couldn't look away. And then Nick just
I
mentioned
kind of
this.
hated it though because of that.
Yeah,
To be
I mean,
honest,
it was tough
it was
to
a
watch,
good
but,
episode, but it was so hard to watch. It was so
Right, but it was-
disturbing.
but like,
Yeah.
I will say, at least you didn't see her actually hit him.
yeah,
But
But
it was all
some
implied. We
shows
knew.
Well,
would've
and
done
same with
that.
the brother dying. You didn't actually
Yeah.
see the brother
Some
die
shows would've
either. But
showed
it
that,
was
though.
but it was just
so
right. But the
both
but
of
the,
those things were so hard for me.
but the
to watch.
dude's got dissociative personality
Right,
disorder. You
because
can't.
No,
of
it
that.
explains.
That's why
Right.
It
I mean,
explains
you-
his psychotic break is
Right.
very
Yeah.
well explained. I mean, either of those things standing alone could
cause,
trigger a
Yeah.
psychotic break.
Yeah, and even
Both of them in combination.
like, I mean, we talk about
very-
the bad mom, but really the dad wasn't much help either.
No.
But he tries.
No.
At least you see at the birthdays he's trying.
He's
Well,
trying,
he's
but he's
trying
like
to be
not.
a good parent, but the best thing for his son would be to take him away from this abusive mother. That's
Right.
what would be. That's
Right,
what being a
exactly.
really good parent
Right.
is.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if you go back then, Jewish divorce back then would be
Oh, absolutely. Completely
Right.
taboo. Completely
Yeah.
taboo.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's
Yeah.
still I don't know. It was and Nick mentions loving the hippo. I
Yeah.
thought that characterization was great. That it was this big massive creature
Yes.
that's kind of like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
And
I've
I
never
love
seen
this
Nick's-
before.
The comedic
Yeah.
relief in a pretty weighty show.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hippo.
Yeah,
Huh.
I'm curious
Scales.
whether anybody knows if the comic book character was Jewish, or if that was an invention for the.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, the Mark / all the characters are Jewish. So,
Interesting.
it's Gina.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts?
So here's what I really enjoyed the psychotic break explaining. I did say this before. I liked the explanation because that made him real for me. This whole time, Mark and Steven were not real. They were just caricatures of people. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's always been Mark, and Steven is here to not have the bad life, to have the good life. And Mark explained that. He's like, I created you to be that, to have a good life. And I loved that scene when he finally figures out I'm a character from a movie. I'm the Tomb Raider, whatever that, I forget what it's called, not Tomb Raider, but whatever. I loved that. I loved that he figured out he was from the movie. So I did enjoy that very much. And then the other thing that I did love the hippo. She added some levity. I loved the boat. I loved the ship. I hated the asylum, the entire asylum episode. I hated everything about the asylum in itself, but I loved the ship and the escape. That's where where he really is, to reality of the ship and figuring out how do I balance myself and become Moon Knight and be Moon Knight. So I think that's to answer this question, where do we go from here? We get to see Moon Knight, like for real, as a hero, not as this crazy person. So that's my answer to the question.
Sam?
I don't know. Where do we go from here? This is such a hard question. Obviously, he's got to get back into the living world. He's not going to go to heaven or hell. He's going to come back into the living world. I agree with Gina. He's going to be Moon Knight, but we've got to still see this third personality, Jake. Maybe we'll see that back in the real world. I still have no idea where we're going. I have no idea how we're going to wrap this up in one more episode. And I really liked the episode we watched last week. And I liked that this episode kind of resolved the whole asylum thing, and that we did learn, where the DID disorder came from. But I really can't say I liked this episode because I just found it so disturbing to watch, to be perfectly honest. So, I guess the answer is I have no idea, Derek.
Okay.
Where do you think it's going?
Well, I've got
Derek. Before Derek goes, yeah.
Sure.
So I just want to comment the other thing that we saw in that episode. One of the scenes on the boat, the hippo, who I can't remember her name. They're talking about like souls being sent to the sands before their time, implying that Harrow has already released Emmett in the real world. So when he gets back to the real world, we're like going to skip over completely the release of Emmett and all that kind of stuff, which I think is kind of cool. That like, okay, we don't need to see that stuff. We know it's going to happen. How is it going to resolve? So
that's helpful in moving the plot along, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it's like, typically you would see that, that would be like a 10-15 minute scene of, releasing Emmett. And like, I'm kind of glad we're not seeing that, because we've seen that 100 times in movies.
Every time. Yeah. We see it every time.
So like, it's just going to be, okay, how can Moon Knight defeat him or whatever? That I hope that's what we're going to see. But I'll leave it to Derek to wrap it up, because he talked to Micah, and I'm guessing Micah has some
yeah. Between Mike and I, we have some big theories.
Yeah.
One of the questions is, have we seen the last of Steven? He and I both agree probably not. We have probably not seen the last of Steven.
So.
Yeah. Another question is, so you had the gods in episode 2 or whatever that locked Khonshu into the stone.
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna stand by and do nothing, or are they actually gonna become and have their avatars be more engaged with humanity? The other thought is, Khonshu is now on that wall of all those gods.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is that whole wall gonna get destroyed and we release all those gods?
Yeah.
And the thought is
A jailbreak of gods.
well, with the God Killer being the main villain in Thor, that may be an impetus for that to happen. I think we all agree that Khonshu is going to defeat Amit, and that threat's going to at least go away for a while.
Right.
I would not be a bit surprised to see an end credit scene in this episode, tying it into where we're going to go next with the character.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a new character introduced. I think we're going to see Werewolf by Night.
Oh.
The character that Moon Knight was originally hunting his first appearance in any Marvel comic, and is kind of a good guy, kind of one of those in the middle
anti-hero.
Punisher.
Yes, but more
Punisher.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like they're doing a Halloween special with that character too, right?
He is coming out in a Halloween special this October. I think.
Okay.
I think it's this October.
Oh.
So that would make sense to introduce him now.
Yeah.
We've also got to figure out what's going on with Layla. We've got to figure out and the thought is, okay, so when we saw her dad dead, you saw he had the scarlet thing with this embroidery of the scarab on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we talked last week about he was actually the Scarlet Scarab.
Right. And is she going to take that over?
Does he become the Scarlet Scarab?
I don't think we're going to see that.
I think we will.
But maybe in the future, we might not see that in this. Yeah, we might not see that in this episode coming up, but we could see it in another season or another show.
I could see in the post-credit type thing, but I don't think it's going to happen in the episode itself.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Sorry, guys, looking through my notes here real quick. I want to know what happened to the original goldfish.
Oh.
And it's interesting. The poster they have released for this episode is the bed cuff.
Oh.
The cuff he has cuffing him to the bed.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll find out how he cuffs and uncuffs.
That makes me think he's cuffed for Jake.
But Steven was cuffed. So he didn't know about Mark
himself because he knew he would get up and walk around at night.
Right. He didn't know about it. Right. He just knew he would roam.
So the one question.
One question.
I got one question about the one thing I found kind of confusing was they kept during the episode breaking back to Mark or Steven talking to Harrow as a psychologist.
Right.
Was that also all in his head as well?
That was a organizing principle. That was all in his head. That was him trying to come to sense with what happened. Because one thing you notice, and they did this very, very deliberately, when he starts talking about sense or nonsense, is it sense? And then you shoot up through the glass and it says, or is it nonsense? So, and they made that a very deliberate cut. So, and you look like his diploma is like degree of psychology or something like that. So, it's obviously not really that. But no, it's very much an organizing principle, I think is what she said. It's also interesting. She said that this is an afterlife, and she mentions the ancestral plane of Black Panther and how she thought that was so pretty. So that's how they kind of tie that together. Mike has also had the thought that Moon Knight will continue on in some other series because he hooks up with Blade. He looks up with some of the I want to say the dark heroes, but that's not the right term, and he'll correct me next week. But Moon Knight is there's a whole group of the anti-heroes that goes around and helps protect stuff, and Moon Knight is one of those. So Michael wasn't so sure about a second season, but he definitely thinks we see Moon Knight going forward. So Nick asked, do Mark and Jake know each other exist? I feel like Steven doesn't know about Jake. Jake knows about Mark, and Jake knows about Steven.
Yeah, I got the impression that Mark, because there was that one scene in one of the episodes where they both accused each other of killing a bunch of people.
Right.
And neither of them
Mark,
I don't think
Mark
either of
and
them are
Steven
aware of
don't
Jake.
know. Yeah, Mark and Steven
Yeah.
don't know of Jake, but Jake may know of Mark
Yeah.
and Steven.
Right.
And
I
guys,
feel
I don't
I
have to
feel
wait
like
until-
we're gonna only.
Right.
I feel like we're only gonna find out about Jake at this
At the
point. I thought we would have by now, but yeah, I think like literally at the end, like
The very
when everything's
last.
resolved,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
it's
it's
last
gonna be
scene.
like,
By the
oh, there's a
way.
third guy. Surprise.
Yeah, by the way.
Now,
And then
I don't
Micah
have-
did.
I don't have to
Tell
wait
us.
until next week to get corrected because Micah's watching.
Yeah, Micah
So
just
Micah
told
says
us.
they're the Midnight Suns.
There we
So,
go.
okay.
Thanks, Micah.
Yes.
Yeah. I also just completely lost what I was going to say. It's
about Jake?
gone.
Was it about
No,
Jake? Was
I
it
don't-
about? Okay.
I don't have any idea on
Okay.
this.
Okay.
I will say I'm looking forward to actually finishing this series, and I don't think I've really said that.
About
And
any.
no, I'm looking forward to finishing the series, not looking forward to it being done.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's a difference.
Well,
I
I just
want-
want to point out that Vicky agrees with me that this was so hard to watch. She almost had to turn it
Oh
off.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was
It was definitely hard to watch. That's for sure. Yeah.
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 Steve says can't be his last time we see Steven because the whole journey started with him.
True.
I would agree, Steve. To come full circle, Steven would be the last character we see.
Yes.
But
and
Unless Jake
I think it's
is.
gonna be Jake, but I think it's gonna
Yeah.
be Jake.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're going to see
Oh.
Steven again, but Jake might be the last character we see.
Yeah.
Remembered what I was going to say. They did bring in from the original comics. They did bring in the fact that there was a character called Bushman,
Yes.
who was actually the one that killed her father.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was originally supposed to be the original bad guy in this series.
Oh.
Oh.
So instead, they brought in this super minor character, but it was because he was so similar to another Marvel villain that's coming up. I don't remember which one it is, but they didn't want to cross paths there.
Too many similarities. Yeah.
Too many similar,
I get
other
it.
than all the Marvel villains. But
Except for Agatha.
yeah, well, kind of. Steve says he's enjoyed this series much more than I thought he would. Yeah. So guys, next week is the finale. We're going to be talking all Moon Knight because trust me, even if it's only 42 minutes long, there will be lots to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Definitely.
should have Micah back next week. Hopefully, we will definitely have Confused Kate back next week. So
We can get all the questions answered.
we can get all the questions
have
answered. We can have
lots of
predictions
questions.
where we go
Yeah.
forward. And guys, this is one of those. Please make sure you guys come with your questions too. Wait, as far as the wait, what, huh? What's going on? If you guys can email them to me, I'll get them to Mike in advance so we're prepared with them. So we can actually do a little bit of research on them. Email us at plusplatoon@gmail.com. Have gotten a couple suggestions from Steve. Thank you, Steve. Those are some of those definitely are going on the list.
Great.
But we want to hear from more of you. So what suggestions, what do you think we should watch? Because there's going to be a couple. We're busy here for the next few weeks, but there's going to be some times in June and July where we're going to have some time to watch some stuff because Miss Marvel is not going to take a whole episode.
True.
So
We could pull some stuff from the vault.
yeah, definitely pull some stuff in the vault. Diamonds in the rough. We haven't done nearly enough of those, in my
No.
opinion.
Mhm.
So if there's something very recent that you've seen that you've really liked that we haven't talked about, let us know. It doesn't have to be a series. It can be a one-off special. We are on Facebook.com. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We are everywhere for get a hold of us. Message us on Facebook. You can use Facebook Messenger to get a hold of us. It doesn't have to be an email. Though everything is read, guys. Trust me, we're taking all your feedback and trying to implement as much as we can into the show.
Yay.
And with that being said, guys, I cannot wait. This comes out at midnight Pacific time, episode 6, which means it's 2 a.m. my time.
So tomorrow morning.
I wish it was midnight Eastern because I probably would stay up and watch it.
Yeah,
especially
I'm
if it's
going to
only-
watch this probably tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Especially
tomorrow
if
night
it's
we
only
will.
45 minutes. So, but yeah, be looking for some of our reactions next week, and we will see everybody then. I hope everyone has a great week, and see you next week, guys. Bye.
Happy Pla Tuesday.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcast and leave those 5-star reviews as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.